Cool. So I came across this picture from VidCon 2017. These were the proud shitlords. And this was also about the time that I was looking at the constitution of the skeptic community and thinking, there's not a lot of high cards in this deck. Anyway, so let's see where all of these guys have gone since. Let's just take a quick look at. I counted them earlier. There's about 40 people in this photo. They're overwhelmingly young. Almost no, old people in this photo whatsoever. As far as I can tell, there's literally one black guy, literally a token. It's about 10% women or something. It's not far off. And who we got in here? We got Andi Warski, Sargon of Akkad. That guy's Dave Cullen. Recognize him. That guy, I think, is actually called some black guy. Then, of course, you got that guy who's tied to Andi Warski. Monday Matt. And this guy I only came across incredibly recently. I don't even know his name. And the reason I came across him is because Andi Warski. This was shortly, at the time this photo was taken, all of these people were riding the absolute crest of, they were all in it together and great friends and everything. And now almost no one in this photo can stand anyone else in this photo. And, a lot of it comes down to, for me, I was looking at this, and if you're trying to actually convince Joe Public that you've got something interesting to bring, branding yourself as shitlords, it's a great joke amongst you and your friends on the internet, but I'm really not so sure it's going to play that well outside of that little clique on the internet. Anyway, so Andi Warski was absolutely at the top of his game about this time, and shortly afterwards, it wasn't so much he embraced white nationalism, but he certainly his show became very friendly to it, and he got this J.F. Garapi, who is one of the most, what would the word be? It's sort of obsequious and offensive people you can imagine to be a co-host, and then they had this dramatic falling out, and then he had one last flash of fame, which was related to the internet blood sports thing. Now, with internet blood sports, the idea was two guys come on and they don't do any of this cerebral, they duke it out Jerry Springer style. And there was a guy called Mr. Medical, or Mr. Mediocre, Mr. Minotaur, something like that. Usually he is an absolutely superb barometer of the sentiment of the internet in terms of calling what's just dumb and what's not. But this was one of his few slip-ups, was him calling internet blood sport as one of the next big things, because it might have actually been, had it not been run by a bunch of grade A fuck-up artists, who really, it self-destructed almost as soon as it was a thing. So two of the names in there were Andi Warski and another guy called Tonkasaw, who I'm not even so sure what he looks like. But he loudly claimed himself to be a pro wrestler. And not only was he a pro wrestler, he would whop anyone's ass if they argued with him or something. And this was his sort of go-to line if someone was giving him grief. Anyway, so he comes up to Andy Warski and he challenges him to a fight in real life where he'll whop his sorry ass. And Andy does what no one else has done. He says yes. And what followed was actually quite... I mean, watching the self-destruction of what's in this photo has actually been fairly entertaining. Anyway, so this Tonkasaw guy basically makes a load of excuses and then backs out of the fight. You know, there's all these rumours that he's some sort of guy in a wheelchair or something. But anyway, trailer park. Turns out Andy, that was his great moment of fame. Is he sort of actually trains up and goes to this fight, and this other guy is an absolute no-show. Anyway, after that, you know, Andy's sort of internet fame, as it were, is sort of trickling down all throughout. Yeah, there are little spikes up here and there. After this, he sort of gives up and starts live streaming his life. And for me, it's like, if you're live streaming your life, that's just going to be such a soul-destroying thing to actually to realize that that's your life. You know, just looking into a camera phone and I mean, apparently there are people who watch it and people make loads of money doing it. But the thing is that, you know, the first to market, the people who become big names in it, inspire a gazillion copycats. And apparently that's sort of where Andy wanted to go. And so I actually came across this video. I hadn't paid attention to any of this for ages. So I'd actually missed out on everything after his fight. I'd missed out that he'd gone into this live streaming thing. It turns out he'd been live streaming with this guy who, like I said, I don't even know his name. But I have seen the video where Andy Warski, a big fat guy, and this guy are going around the streets of Florida, and they get into some fight with some pushing and shoving with some guys, and Andy's like, "Oh, I'll beat your sorry ass, yeah, I'll leave your face down in a puddle of your own blood," type thing. And about half an hour later, these three guys track down Warski, this big fat guy, and this guy, Andy sort of instantly transforms from, you know, hard man into this sort of screeching harpy, you know, stay back, you know, voice cracking all over the place. And this guy pulls out a gun, you know, bringing a gun to a fist fight. Great meme and everything, but kind of illegal, you know, even in Florida. And I forget what this guy is charged with. But anyway, so all three of them get sort of apprehended by the police, and this guy gets arrested and charged. And so while they're doing all the pushing and shoving thing, Andy's shouting at this guy, you know, aim, aim, aim. Like, that's a reasonable response to, you know, some guys who I think this guy actually tased someone earlier in the night, but he's shouting at aim and maybe even shoot to the guy with a gun. So I mean, we're not looking at a high what's the expression? There's not a lot of high cards in this hand, I guess is where I'm going. Sargon will come back to later. This guy, Dave Cullen, as far as I can tell, is he really got into the conspiracy stuff, or he was always a conspiracy nut. Just what you want from a skeptic. This guy was a co-host with Andy before he broke up. Well, Andy broke up with everyone. Then Matt Jarbo, Mr. Gamergate himself, the guy who absolutely kicked off Gamergate with the Zoe post. And now he made a video about the Zoe post, which then got DMCA'd, and it it was the blow up from that basically started off Gamergate. And it sort of ended here. And it ended here because, with a lot of these things, there are pendulums. Pendulums swing backwards and forwards, and when it gets too extreme, it sort of swings back, and the momentum carries it through until you're not being called shitlords when you're not shitlords. You kind of are. Anyway, so Sarkeesian was still preaching all her nonsense, but all of these people basically turn up in her meeting and claim that this isn't some sort of kind of douchey move. They're allowed to do it and all that. It's just kind of douchey. Anyway, and then she calls Sargon a shithead and a garbage human or something. And they basically milk it for all it's worth. But the thing is, by that time, you've lost track of the original goals. I mean, the original goals were to show that feminism was junk. And now what are you into? You're basically into the drama mill. And when the drama becomes more important than the actual issues, it's time to move on. Which is exactly what I was thinking about at the time all of this was kicking off. Anyway, so where were we? Mundane Matt, had one of the most catastrophic falls from graces ever, in that so he'd claimed that, well, when he got DMCA'd, he had some rightful reason to claim that he was being victimized here, but it turns out that he wasn't so keen on taking grief on the internet himself. And it turns out he'd been flagging absolutely everyone who made videos critical of him, and had probably had a load of these taken down. And it came to this absolutely fantastic head in a stream with Mr. Minotaur, or with Mr. Mediocre, that's the one, where they bring up the fact that actually you can prove that you're not flagging all these people. So Matt had been claiming for the first half hour of this stream that he would never do this, and it was all somebody else flagging these videos that were mysteriously critical of him. Someone else was going around and flagging them all, and he was just getting the blame for it. And then someone points out, well, actually, you can prove this. You can actually go to this webpage, and it'll be a history of all the videos you've ever flagged there. And, of course, Matt goes to this, and there's a lot of prevaricating and stalling until it kind of gets a bit much, and eventually does share his history, and he's absolutely guilty as sin, flagging absolutely everyone critical of him. After that, he was kind of persona non grata. And I don't know. I think Based Mama is here, but I don't really know what she looks like. Maybe. I don't know. But it was here that they decided that they were going to have their own free speech event, which is going to be called Kilroy, which was, again, almost dead on arrival. This is the problem if you do have not just shitlords, but shit for brains running everything. You do actually need some people who are technically competent at some point if you're going to actually achieve anything. And so they almost immediately they started off with Kilroy. They were putting out these non-compete and non-disclosure agreements for some ridiculous amount of time, and everyone got cold feet, and basically the whole thing crashed and burned, which means there's only one guy left here, Sargon of 3%, who presided over one of the most cataclysmic political reversals in history, in that before he joined UKIP, the area that UKIP got something like 23% or 25%, something like that, of the vote in the European election. And so it was almost a done deal. What could possibly go wrong? But they made the party so toxic that not even Nigel Farage would rejoin the Brexit party, saying that it had been, almost citing Sargon. I mean, certainly singling out Sargon as one of the reasons why the party had become too toxic and populated by the lunatic fringe. And I think his exact words were, the sooner that they get no votes in this election and go bust, we can all get on with our lives. That was basically Farage's opinion. So yeah, it's true that part of the reason that the Brexit party got no votes is because Farage started a new party, but the reasoning he started a new party was because people like Sargon of 3%, and had they just been left to their own devices, they were a pretty toxic lot. His I wouldn't even rape you jokes might go down great amongst the fan base here, but in the wider population, you just look like kind of a crazy guy. So yeah, of all the people here, Andy Warski was riding high when he was doing this. He's gone down to almost nothing. Same with Monday Matt. Don't know about Dave Cullen. This guy, I think, is called some black guy. Don't know about him. Sargon is actually still doing okay when in terms of traffic, but in terms of has that actually translated into political change? I think there might be a little bit more work to be done on that yet. Anyway, so that was just I came across this and thought, it might be an interesting time to revisit the shitlords of 2017. Where are they now? Anyway, if you like that, drop a like on this, and I'll see if I can get back to doing some real science stuff in the coming week. So with that, have a nice evening.